Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Suburban Rifleman. I was really hoping to get out to the range this week, but it's just not in the cards. I've been very busy getting things ready for summer, getting the camp opened up. I'm another 4 hours or 3.5 hours north of where I was when I shot my last main video about a week ago. So we're up at camp. You can probably see the lake reflected in the window here. You might even be able to see the top of Mount Katahdin over here on your right. You probably saw the snowy slopes there in the opening intro. It's kind of a strange time of year. It's getting pretty warm here. It's about, I think we're supposed to go up to about 85 degrees this afternoon. Although the ice has only been off the lake for a couple of weeks, and obviously there's still a lot of snow on the slopes of the mountain, so we're in that transitional period. It would be quite beautiful. There's a little bit of a breeze off the lake here right now, except for all the damn bugs. It's black flies are everywhere. That's why I'm in here on the screen porch, and the mosquitoes are just starting to poke their noses out of all the ditches. So those will be around in another day or two. But I wanted to take this opportunity to at least take a look at a couple of rifles. We have the Winchester model 1887 here. I took a very detailed look at this rifle about a year ago, and at that point in time, it was not technically in our possession. It was going to be sold for someone else, an elderly gentleman. So it's now in the collection, but it is actually going away soon. I still just don't have the resources to produce 33 Winchester ammo for this rifle, and the 33 Winchester ammo I do have is far too valuable to go shooting, and this rifle really belongs in the hands of a collector. But it has a little sister in the form of this Winchester Model 94. This one was made in 1910, so it's not just a pre-64, it's more than half a century pre-64. And I just got done cleaning this up. This was absolutely packed with crud. This rifle you'll be seeing quite a bit more of. I want to take a really in-depth look at this rifle. I also want to do sort of a comparo where I shoot this against my Marlin 336, which is much, much newer, but features completely different rifling and a different operating system and everything, and I'm interested to see how they shoot against one another. This rifle has clearly been around the block. It's got lots and lots of finish wear, but the bore is absolutely pristine, as is the case with this Model 87 Winchester. So anyway, today I just wanted to make a quick portrait of these two rifles together. Unfortunately, like as I said, this one's going to be going away. This one's staying. The fact is, these two rifles came from the same collection. They came from the same family. I think it's pretty clear that they were set up as they are today by the same individual person. Unfortunately, those stories are now lost to eternity. But I want to take a quick look at these rifles together before they go their separate ways. They've been together for more than 100 years, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end, and the bright part of the story is neither of these rifles is coming to its end. I'm sure this will end up in the hands of a collector, the 1887, and as I said, the 94 is going to be hanging around for a while anyway, so neither of these is going to a Chicago-style gun buyback where it's going to get chopped up with a chop saw and thrown into a smelter. So there's something to be taken from that, but it's still a little bit sad to see these two rifles go their separate ways. But they're very similar in some ways. Obviously, they're very different in other ways. But I just want to take a look at them side by side over on the tabletop and show you the similar features and some of the things that are a little bit different. My dad did end up buying the entire collection. So there's some other weird little guns that we'll be taking a look at as well that came out of that same collection, like this Stevens tip-up pistol, target pistol with a 9-inch barrel and a tiny little cute globe sight on the front. We'll be taking a look at this pistol, and we'll actually be shooting this pistol. There's no reason not to shoot this. I'll probably use low power ammo. This will chamber 22 shorts, longs, or long rifles. So we'll probably shoot this with some low power target ammo just to get an idea of how accurate this is. This pistol's in very good condition. Even the exterior condition is very good. And the bore is, again, just about pristine. It's a little bit dirty because I did pop a couple rounds off through it just to test it about 6 months ago. But that, and there's a couple of other weird little things from that collection. The Smith & Wesson Model 3 or number 3 that we took a look at about a year ago is also from this same collection. Probably all of these belong to the same individual. So without any further ado, let's move over to the bench top and take a look at these two rifles in a little bit more depth. And you can see why it's pretty clear that they belong to the same person, and they certainly came from the same source. So let's go do it. Okay, everyone, here are our two Winchesters, our model 1887 and our model 1894. Again, these came from the same family. They presumably belong to the same person. Also, the Smith & Wesson Model 3 belonged to the same guy. That revolver is rumored to have been out to the gold fields. Apparently, in Alaska, I would guess all of these firearms post-date the California gold rush, so I would assume Alaska. Did either of these rifles go along as well? I have no idea. And again, there's no way to find out exactly. But presumably the two rifles have been together for over 110 years at this point. They're very, very similar in some ways. Obviously, they're quite different in other ways. The Model 94 is in 30-30, or 30 Winchester centerfire is what it says on the barrel. The 1887 is in 33 Winchester, which is a relatively uncommon cartridge at this point in time. These would be much more desirable nowadays, chambered in 45-70, which was another chambering. But back at the turn of the 20th century, when these two rifles, the Model 94 dates from 1910, I forget the production date of the 1887, and I have absolutely no internet access up here at camp, so I can't look it up. I seem to recall it was about the same time, though, right around the turn of the century. So for a turn of the century American sportsman looking for a two-gun battery of center fire rifles that would pretty much cover the full gamut of North American wildlife, you'd be pretty hard pressed to come up with a better combination than these two. 33 Winchester center fire will handle anything, including moose around here, big black bears, even the big bears out west. And 30-30 Winchester, I mean, you can use that to shoot anything from black bears and white-tailed deer all the way down to groundhogs. So this would have made a really comprehensive two-gun battery. They're very similar in some respects. Both are John Browning designs. Both feature these sort of toggle link actions. The locking bolt, which comes up into two recesses on the 1887, is actually attached directly to the lever. You can see it come up there and lock the bolt shut. The locking block on the Model 94 is attached to this toggle link instead of being attached directly to the lever, and that comes up behind the bolt right here, as you can see. But this is not meant to be an in-depth look at the mechanics of either of these rifles. I did a pretty in-depth look at the 1887 about a year ago, and the 1894, or the Model 94, will be featured in a number of upcoming videos, so you can keep an eye out for those. I just kind of wanted to take a look at them. They've been together for 110 years. Unfortunately, they're going to have to go their separate ways, but such is life. Not everything can last forever. But it's very clear to me that these were owned by the same person. They came from the same family, and they're very, very similar in many respects. Both have had their factory rear sight removed, and just the 3/8 dovetail left empty. The Model 94 is the same way. If I were putting an aftermarket sight on a rifle like this and I removed the factory rear sight, I would put a filler block in there. But apparently the original owner was perfectly happy with it just as is. And whoever the next owner of this rifle is can make a decision about what they want to do about that. I would leave this empty personally. We're holding on to this. And, if that's the way the original owner intended it, I'm perfectly happy leaving that dovetail empty. Now, of course, when you remove the factory rear sight, you've got to put on a new rear sight. Both have tang-mounted aperture sights. This one is from Lyman. They're both very similar. They both have these screw-type collars to adjust the height of the rear sight for various ranges. The Lyman's cool in that it actually has this tiny little flip-up aperture. It's a little bit stiff, but that flips up, and it's smaller in diameter than the regular aperture. We'll take a closer look at that later. Again, we're going to be looking at this rifle in more depth later on. The tang sight on the 1887 is a Marbles manufacturer from Gladstone, Michigan. But it's very, very similar. It adjusts the same way. It folds down the same way. Actually, I don't know how this one locks down. The other one flips down and stays down, but I'm not going to mess around with that too much. The sort of wear on these rifles is very, very similar. You can see that this one was carried a lot, and the thumb of whoever owned it was right here on the end of the barrel and wore most of the bluing off. It's been carried a lot, presumably shot quite a bit, although the bores on both of these rifles are excellent. This one was also clearly carried around the receiver quite a bit, as there's also a lot of bluing wear. The 94 balances a little bit differently, so your thumb ends up here on the front of the receiver as opposed to there on the barrel. So the bluing wear is a little bit different, but it's very, very similar. The stocks are in very similar condition. Neither of these rifles has a case-hardened steel butt plate. They both have this hard rubber butt plate. The one on the 94 actually cuts into the heel of the stock a little bit. That on the 1887 is a bit more plain. So, again, I don't want to make this video very long. I just wanted to kind of get a portrait of these two rifles while they're still together. The Model 94, most of the bluing's intact on the barrel, as is the case with the 1887. These rifles were well cared for, but they were used pretty hard, and I would not personally send either of these rifles off to somebody like Doug Turnbull to do a full-blown restoration on. I like them very much in their original condition. I certainly wouldn't hand them off to your local gunsmith to be re-blued. That is a fate which has befallen many of these great old lever actions, and it really, really ruins the monetary value of the rifle, and it really ruins the aesthetic value, in my opinion. I am perfectly happy with rifles that show good, honest wear like this, without any pitting or any real serious damage to the rifle. So, kind of a sad day, but as I said, this is life. Things happen, and not everything lasts forever. So these two have been together for a very long time, and they really show it. And I just wanted to create a portrait of them while they're still together. I guess I don't really have much else to say. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So once again, it is sad to see these two rifles going their separate ways, but once again, all good things must come to an end. I'm sure they're both going to have good homes. I'm sure they have many good years ahead of them, as they have clearly a lot of history behind them. And I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with the Model 94, actually shooting it and taking a really in-depth look at it. And I'll be sure to post all of that here when I do, and I hope to see each of you here then. Later, guys.